All right, so just for a brief recap, we just learned how to set up properly with all of our clubs, align properly, have a good connected takeaway, a good connected backswing, and then we are now here, we're loaded, we have a nice pivot as well. So, what do we need to do now? How do we get all of that load? How do we get all of those forces that we have generated in the backswing into the downswing smoothly and efficiently? It starts with a pressure shift into your lead side, right? For those who don't know, what I mean by this is when we load in the backswing, we have that nice pivot. We feel like we're getting ready to jump, right? We have all this force on the instep of our foot. We load, and now we need to release it. And the best way to release it is by shifting our pressure to this lead side, right? For us to hit a good shot, especially good iron shots, we have to get our center of mass in front of the ball. This gets our low point also in front of the ball and allows us to hit those really compressed and crispy iron shots that are very easy to control. And what this pressure shift does is it effectively does that for us, right? We load into the backside, we shift our pressure forward, and now my center of mass goes from here to here. So my low point comes forward, and now I'm able to rotate and swing through the ball and hit this very compressed shot. It can be good to think about the transition almost like the release of a slingshot, right? The backswing is us pulling the slingshot all the way back, and the transition is the release, right? This is where we let go and all of the motion starts moving towards our target, and we start getting into positions that allow us to swing efficiently. So how do we actually release this pressure? How do we get this pressure to be on our lead side? Well, one thing we need to think about is how much pressure we put on our lead side, right? On the PGA Tour, they have 80% of their weight or 80% of their mass on their lead foot at impact. Now, that's a very large number. I mean, they are almost stepping through this shot. They have almost that much force going into their body. And so we need to replicate that. And the best way to replicate that, I feel like, is doing something that we've probably all done. And that's just simply throwing a ball. If I take this golf ball here and I want to throw it as far as I can towards the target, do you think I'm going to stand here and do this? Probably not. That looked very awkward, very unathletic, right? And that's not what we want in our golf swing. We want our golf swing to be athletic. We want it to be smooth, powerful, right? If I was going to think like almost like a baseball pitcher, would a baseball pitcher ever load up on the mound, load up on the trail side, and then fall backwards to throw a 100-mile-per-hour fastball? Definitely not, okay? What we want to do is instead, we want to think, like if we're launching this ball, we're going to be here, we're going to load up, and then we're going to take a massive step forward, push, and then throw, right? That's going to be the motion. We have to think about it that way, right? Even in the golf swing, we think load into this backside and then big step, right? Big step forward so we can then come through and hit a good shot. Same exact motion as if we were throwing a ball, right? We get here, we turn, big step, and then we throw it, right? That's what we want to replicate. And so there's a couple of drills that can really help you to learn this, right? So mainly we want to ingrain a stomping motion or a pushing motion with this lead foot, right? To make sure that we're getting this pressure shift in the right position. So what I want you to do is I want to take your good setup. I want you to go to your back of your swing. And as you come to your backswing, I want you to allow this lead heel to lift just a hair, just a little bit, not much, but just enough for you to notice, right? So you're going to have a lot of load on this side. You're going to feel a little bit of pressure in this lead toe. And then as you start the downswing, I want you to stomp that down hard. I mean, like harder than you think you need to. And I also want you to do it earlier than you think you need to. If you get to the top of your backswing and your hands are moving before you stomp this down, you know you've done it too late. This needs to be one of the first movements in your downswing and your transition. So once again, we're going to get to the top of our backswing, allow our lead heel to lift a little bit, stomp it down, and then swing through. Another way to think about that is a drill that's very similar. Once again, we're going to get in our good setup. We're going to take our lead foot and take it back just a little bit, right? What that's going to do is narrow our stance. What we want to do now is go into our backswing, and at the top of our backswing, we want to step back to that original position. So in full swing here, it looks like this. Backswing, step, swing through. That's another great drill to help you engage your legs and get the ground moving in the right direction. Both of those drills force you to move your weight and your pressure in the right direction early in your swing. A final way to think about this is almost as if you were trying to slide your foot along the ground. This is much easier to do on, say, like a hardwood floor, maybe with some socks on, right? If you've ever just kind of stood, you can balance and feel like you're sliding that lead foot forward, like away from you. Get that feeling ingrained, and then come out here onto the mat, onto the turf with your actual golf shoes on, and then feel that same thing, right? Feel like you're sliding that foot. Obviously, because of the friction, your foot's not going to move. But what's going to happen is it's going to force that pressure into that lead foot, right? By trying to slide, you're effectively pushing really hard off of this lead toe, and you're pushing hard off the toe into the heel, and you're getting a really good pressure shift. And that's what we're wanting to look for. Another way to think about this is if you've ever sat in a rolling chair, right? If you lift one leg up and you try to push yourself off with just the one lead leg, that's the same motion as well, right? That's another great drill that you can do if you ever have access to that. And you can do that anywhere, right? So hopefully those drills will give you something good to work on with the pressure shift if that's something you struggle with. If not, you can now move on to the next section.